It's Throwback to GP 2016 time, where we analyze the questions for points and examples you can raise if these issues come out again. Assess the view that most natural disasters are the result of human activity. This is a straightforward question on a not-so-straightforward issue in the world today. There are environmentalists, climate change activists, and scientists who passionately believe human activity is out of control and disastrous for the world and must be controlled. Then there are regular folk, politicians, and corporations who believe the first group is exaggerating the problems and just spreading conspiracy theories that we can ignore. The subject of debate here is natural disasters. There are three types of natural disasters we can talk about: hydrological disasters like floods and tsunamis, geological disasters like avalanches, landslides, earthquakes, sinkholes, and volcanic eruptions. And finally, meteorological disasters like blizzards, droughts, hailstorms, heat waves, and tornadoes. Most of us think of natural disasters as simply huge destructive events caused by forces of nature. But that phrase natural disasters can be misleading. If it is indeed natural, isn't it nature's fault then? What's it got to do with us? How we define human activity will affect our answer to this question. If we think of human activity from just our individual point of view, it's hard to see the link. But if we take a more collective view of human activity and widen our scope to include the sum total of actions we do through our corporations, governments, and communities, you can definitely see a connection. There are three big ways human activities can be linked to natural disasters. First, intensive and excessive economic activities that overstress natural processors can trigger a natural disaster. Corporations that deal with natural resources such as wood, coal, and oil can push production so fast and so hard that nature is forced to react. For example, one such activity is hydraulic fracturing, fracking for short, where water and other chemicals are injected into oil wells at such high pressure that rocks are fractured and more oil and gas can be extracted. A pair of earthquakes in Italy that occurred in 2012 that killed 27 people and injured hundreds more has been linked to fracking in a nearby oil field. And in America, the dramatic increase in fracking since 2006 has caused regions like Oklahoma and Kansas to experience frequent tremors and earthquakes. Activities that have been linked to earthquakes include the constructions of mega dams, burying great amounts of toxic waste underground, intense coal mining, and the excessive draining of underground reserves of oil. Second, political weakness or incompetence can lead to severe mismanagement of a city, which impacts its ability to handle a natural disaster. In these cases, what looks like a natural disaster is sometimes a direct result of a lack of regulations, funding, and capability to keep people safe. For example, in 2010, a 100-meter deep sinkhole opened up in Guatemala City and swallowed up a whole building. The natural explanation for the disaster was that Guatemala City was built on volcanic soil that is easily eroded by swift running water. A tropical storm had recently hit and triggered the sinkhole. However, Guatemala's sinkholes were also a result of poor zoning regulations and building codes that went ignored. A leaking storm pipe under the building had gone unfixed long enough to create the right conditions for the sinkhole to happen. Experts believe that unless Guatemalan government can find sufficient funds to carry out more regular inspections of its sewer system, similar sinkholes are likely to happen in the future. Still, on the political angle, corruption can also lead to shoddy urban planning that creates unnecessary disaster scenarios. In 2015, a massive mudslide in Shenzhen that killed 90 people and damaged multiple buildings turned out to be caused by a man-made mountain of construction waste that had piled so high that it caused instability in the ground. Investigations revealed that dumping had still continued in the weeks leading up to the disaster, despite orders given a while back to close down the dump. The city official who had approved the construction of the waste dump committed suicide. This fueled cries among the Chinese public over the need to clamp down hard on corrupt officials who were lax on safety regulation and building controls. Third, cultural practices or consumer practices can also be fuel for natural disasters. This is best illustrated by the issue of the devastating forest fires in Indonesia that happen every year. The root of the forest fire problem is the traditional practice of forest clearance known as slash and burn, where land is set on fire as a cheaper way to clear it for new planting. The problem is that some communities live on peat soil, which is highly flammable that causes localized fires to spread fast. Compounding the problem is the natural weather pattern known as the El-NINO effect that causes very dry seasons which make forest fires extremely difficult to stop. Many of the fires also occur on land used by palm oil or pulpwood producers. So some environmentalists blame not just these big businesses but the consumers who support them as well. They argue that as long as us regular consumers keep indiscriminately buying products from these businesses that practice unethical deforestation, we share the blame for natural disasters that happen. There is not much controversy on this question, in the sense that science is quite clear on the facts. We human beings have something to do with how disastrous a natural disaster gets. The controversy comes from our different levels of willingness to take responsibility for these facts. Accepting responsibility for our environment is costly and uncomfortable for all individuals, corporations, and governments. But since this Earth is the only environment we have to live in, it is only right that we learn to take care of it for each other. Thanks for watching. If you want to learn more about how the world works, subscribe to our channel or follow the link below to get a free trial class at School of Thought. For a full breakdown of all the GP essays of 2016, click on the other link below to get our annual Broader Perspectives essay issue.